Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to the start of another week and a start of another story. And people says, do we have a Jackanory scenario here? No, what we do on the channel, we take, when we got artists that have had so many albums, instead of doing a ranking that will take forever, we split it up into little bits. And today we're going to start looking at the work of Frank Zappa, which has been requested by quite a lot of people. So we're going to start with the Mothers of Invention. Now Frank Vincent Zappa, born 21st of December 1940, sadly passed away in 1993. He was a composer, musician, band leader, comprised rock, pop, jazz, jazz fusion, orchestra, mystic, huge amount of work and over 60 plus albums. And it all started with the Mothers of Invention, and they were formed in 1964. They were originally an R&B band called the Soul Giants, but the first band's lineup comprised of Ray Collins, Dave Corando, Ray Hunt, Roy Estrada, Jimmy Cole and Frank. So they made albums with them, and he made solo albums with it, and there are 12 Mothers of Inventions albums I could find. If I've missed any out, I do apologise, but when you're dealing with the Frank Zappa catalogue, there may be one or two that you miss out. So let's have a look at these. So coming in at number 12, we have a soundtrack album from 1971, and it's called 200 Motels. Playing on here, we've got Frank Zappa on bass guitar and guitar drums, George Duke on trombone and keyboards, Ian Underwood on keyboards and woodwinds, Big Jim Sullivan on guitar, Martin Lickhart on bass, Ansley Dunbar on drums, Ruth Underwood percussion, Jimmy Cole Black on vocals, Howard Kalian on vocals, Jim Pond's voices, Mark Volman vocals, and Theodore Bickel narrator, and the Philharmonic Orchestra conducted by Elgar Howarth. So first for this, it's here we go. So the first track on here is called Semi-Fraudulent Direct from Hollywood Overture. It's just some horns and bits and bobs going on. Yeah, not too bad at all. Mystery Roach. This is pretty good, very short. It's a soundtrack album. So it's very hard to see what's going on if you haven't watched the film, of course. Dance, the rock and roll interviewers, sort of incidental music that you don't know what's going on. This Town is a sealed tuna sandwich. The prologue. It's just a bit of voice. Then we get Tuna Fish Promenade. Interesting. Very bizarre, but interesting. Dance of the Just Plain Folks. Another of those tracks that sort of, if you don't know what's going on, it's hard to really get into it. It's a bit jittery everywhere. Then we've got This Town is a Sealed Tuna Sandwich reprise. More of the Tuna Fish saga. Then we get the Sealed Tuna Bolero. Singing Trumpets. Now the best track on here is a thing called Lonesome Cowboy Bert. I quite like this. It's a nice little short little thing. And then we have LP2. So it's Touring Can Make You Crazy. Some more of that incidental music. Would You Like a Snack? It's pleasant enough. Nice little incidental music again. Redneck Eats. Weird. Couldn't get into this. It's all over the place. Centerville seems to be a little bit of a dramatic sort of scene going on there. Not sure what. She painted her face. I haven't got a clue what's going on here. It's just this instant music for the scene. Janet's Big Dance Number. Strange sounds again. Half a dozen provocative squats. I like the guitar and piano on that. Then we have 30 seconds of a thing called Mysterio. Shove It Right In. It's quite psychedelic. Nice guitar touches on that. Lucius Reduction of a bored violinist and postlude. Not very coherent. Bits and bobs. Didn't find it interesting. Then we've got I'm Stealing the Towels. Great title. One of them things, it'd be interesting to see what was going on. Probably stealing of towels, who knows. Dental hygiene dilemma. Does this kind of life look interesting to you? I'm struggling with this. This is totally bizarre. And I think unless you have seen it, you don't know what's going on. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. One of the more constructed songs. It's quite okay. Then we get a thing called Penis Dimension. I don't even know what's going on with that track. Strange, anyway. What will this evening bring to me this morning? Another sort of bits and bobs song. Then a nun suited painted on some old boxes. Totally bizarre. What do you expect? It's the mothers of invention. Magic Fingers. Yeah, this is more like the sort of stuff you'd get later on. It's okay. Motorhead's Midnight Ranch. Little sound bites. Do the newts we got. Harp, vocals, weird. The lad searches in the night for his newts. Very strange noises going on. The girl wants to fix him some broth. I haven't got a clue what's going on with this scene. The girl's dream sort of carries on from the previous track. And then we've got Little Green Scratchy Sweaters and Corduroy Ponds. More operatic singing and Stritchy Gentile the Fun Isle. Longest thing on the album. Very long, weird. Don't know what's going on. As with all soundtracks, if you've never seen the film, you can't connect with them. I couldn't connect with this album one little bit. As much as I've tried, I haven't. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 1 out of 10. Coming in at number 11, we got the third album from 1968. It's called We're Only In It For The Money. Groovy cover, bit of a parody of another cover, of course. So the first thing is called Are You Hung Up? Weird starting whisperings and noises, which goes in We Need the Peace Corps. Load of hippie sort of tongue-in-cheek going on here. Interesting. Concentration Moon. They all sound drunk on that. I don't know if they were or high on some sort of substance. Then we got Mum and Dad. Love the bass line in this. This is quite groovy. And then it's Telephone Conversation, including Bow Tie Daddy on the original, from the original LP. One of them pointless trot is just a telephone call. Then Bow Tie Daddy, it continues on from the conversation. Harry, You're a Beast. Not very coherent. It's just out of place here. It doesn't fit. What's the ugliest part of your body? Another minute thing. Total mind-blowing stuff. Absolutely free. One of the better tracks on here. It's got a quirky little track to it. Not too bad. Then we got Flower Punk. Voice effects on here are really good. I do like that. Then Hot Poop. More whispering, some backwards words. It's weird. Some frog noises. Then we have a thing called Nasal Retentive Calliope Music. Lots of weird noises. It doesn't do anything for me. Let's Make the Water Turn Black. I like this. It's quite short, sharp fun. Excuse the French on this one. The Idiot Bastard Son. Another of those tracks that's got a really groovy bass line. Then we've got Lonely Little Girl. Listed as his voice on the radio on the original LP sleeve. It sounds like they've been on the helium. Take Your Clothes Off When You Dance. I don't mind this. I don't know who the female singer is, but it sounds pretty good. What's the ugliest part of your body? Reprised. 57 seconds of a reprise. Don't know. Mother People. I like the beginning of this. The guitar works pretty good. And then we get the chrome-plated Megaphone of Destiny. It's horrible. Loads of noises. Nothing about music. And it's 6 minutes and 25. I really struggled with this album. There's not much that really actually resembles proper music. But I do appreciate what they were doing. But it's not for me. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 2 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 10, we have the 6th album from 1969, and it's Uncle Meat. First track on here is Uncle Meat. the main theme, which is an instrumental, and it's the best thing on here. I love the vibraphone, really works. Love the little bit of horns coming in there as well. Then the voice of cheese. This is about Susie cream cheese. Absolutely bizarre. So just 27 seconds of words. Then we get 9 types of the industrial pollution instrumental. I like the start. As I said at the start, there's some stuff that I don't particularly like, and this is one of them. I don't know what this is. It is absolutely bizarre. Then we have Solar Zakali. Strange little instrumental, but quite good. Dog Breath in the Year of the Plague. Really good track this is. I love the sax on here. It's not a bad track at all. The Legend of the Golden Arches. Very bizarre instrumental, but I quite like it. Well put together. Wish it was a little bit longer. Then we have a live track recorded at the Albert Hall, and it's Louis Louis. Lots of clapping in this, noises. It's an interesting variation. Then we have the dog, talking of variations, the Dog Breath variations. Quite bizarre, but okay. Then Sleeping in a Jar, 49 seconds over the vocal about sleeping in a jar. Our Bizarre Relationship. Nonsense, didn't get that one at all. The Uncle Meat variation, some bit of clarinet on there that sounds a little bit off key. Electric Aunt Jemima, funny bits in this, quirky, very interesting, very short as well. Prelude to Kill Kong, it's too busy, there's so much going on, you can't comprehend anything. Then we have another little live bit from the Whiskey A Go Go, God Bless America. Of course, Irving Berlin wrote that. What a noise. It's weird. A Pound for a Brown on the Bus. Very off-putting. The high-pitched vocals a bit weird. And then we got Ian Underwood whips it out live in stage on Copenhagen. Improv saxophone. Then we've got Mr. Green Jeans. It's interesting. It's quite pleasant. We Can Shoot You, very strange, lots of voices and noises. If we'd been all living in California, it's a recording of a conversation. Not for me. The Air. It's a track that's got 3 tunes all playing at the same time. Project X. It's just a load of sounds and everyone playing their own thing. It's very hard to sit down and listen to it for me. I'm sure there's people out there that love it, but not me. Cruising for Burgers. It's okay. And then we've got King Kong itself. It's 53 seconds. King Kong in its magnificent. Just a real weird bass line. King Kong, as Motorhead explains it, carries on from the last track. King Kong, the Gardner varieties. This is more like it. It's a bit more coherent. It's a bit longer and it makes some sense. And then we've got King Kong as played by Good Humoured Trucks. Weird. And then King Kong live on a flatbed diesel in the middle of a race at Miami Pop Festival. Like most of these, some of their albums, there's no natural flow. It's dialect thrown in, bits of live. It's very disjointed, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 3 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 9. Now, this is a posthumous album. It's called Joe's Corsage, and it's a compilation featuring music recorded by Frank Zappa and the Mothers in the mid-60s before their recording debut. So it was completed by archivist Joe Travers, and the title comes from Zappa's 1979 Joe's Garage. So you've got Frank Zappa here on guitar and vocals, Ray Collins vocals and tambourine. You've got Harry Vestine on a couple of tracks, Roy Esteda on the bass, Jimmy Colbrack on drums. Pretty Pat, little ditty of a song, 33 seconds, it sort of works. Motherly Love, I like this. It's just 60s pop, and it really works. Plastic People, I really like this. It sounds a little bit like Louie Louie, in the tune anyway, but it's pretty good. Anyway, The Wind Blows. The guitar work is very good on here. It's a nice track. I Ain't Got No Heart. Some nice playing on here. It's just got this nice 60s feel to it. The Phone Call My Babe. It's okay. It's got a nice melody to it. Wedding Dress Song, Handsome Cabin Boy. It's a traditional folk song. It's got that mid-60s vibe to it. It's pretty short. Hitchhike. My favourite track on here. It's written by Marvin Gaye, and it's sort of pretty good cover. I'm So Happy I Could Cry. I love the simplicity of this. It's just very simple guitars and singing. Go Cry on Somebody Else's Shoulder. A nice little ballad, nice vocal from Frank. How could I Be Such a Fool? Another them typical pop songs from the 60s, but it's okay. We made our reputation doing it our way, and they certainly did. It's an interesting interview with Frank, and it's really good. I do like that interview at the end. I really liked this album, especially the conversation at the end with Frank. Absolutely brilliant, and I like the basic songs, and it works well. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 4.5. Okay, coming in at number 8, 8th album by the Mothers of Invention, released in 1970, and it's Weasels Ripped My Flesh. This is stuff from unreleased studio and live recordings, and some outtakes and leftovers from his solo album Hot Rats, and it's sort of come out at the same time as when Burnt Weenie Sandwich, which we'll talk about in a minute. So lots of improvisation pieces on this apparently. So the first track is Did You Get Any On You? Incredible drumming on this. The trumpet's pretty good as well. Yeah, interesting track. Directly From Your Heart to You. Incredible track. The violin is really good. It's a bluesy track as well. Really like that. Prelude to the Afternoon of Sexuality Aroused Gus Mark. Didn't like that track. Absolutely bizarre. Toads of the Short Forest. Quite like this. It's a jazzy sort of song. I love the keyboards on this. One of the best tracks on the album. Get a Little. Great little bass guitar line on this. Everything. It's totally bizarre, but it works. Very good. Then we have Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue. Vibraphones, saxophones. Nice little piece of improv music. I think that's definitely improv. Dwarf Nebula Procession March. Again, I think this is another improv thing. Very clever how they can just go into a studio and just play and record. Hats off. That is really, it's quite good. Then we have My Guitar Wants to Kill Your Mama. Interesting lyric title. Not too bad. The high pitched vocal is a little bit thin, but the guitar work is good. Oh No is next. Pity this isn't longer because the guitar is a pretty good piece of music. Then we have my favourite thing on here, the Orange County Lumber Truck. Piece of short music, nice guitars, and I love the drumming on that one. And then we have Weasels Ripped My Flesh. It's supposed to be in Town Hall in Birmingham. There's loads of noises and then you get clapping. I'm never a fan of albums that have a bit of live and studio, but this isn't too bad. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7, got the 7th album. Released in 1970. It's like the follow-up or part of it. Burnt Weenie Sandwich. Loads of people play on this. So the first track is my favourite track, and it's called WPLJ. It's got that real 60s feel. It's best track. I love the drumming on this. Excellent little track. Then we have Igor's Boogie Phase 1, which is only a 40-second thing. It leads straight into the overture of a holiday in Berlin. Certainly got that German Papa feel to it. It's only short, but it has the boogie phase, and that works well together. Then we have Theme from Burnt Weenie Sandwich. It's a little bit too busy to me. You can just about pick out the guitar, which is quite good, but everything else going on, it sort of distracts you. Eagles Boogie Phase 2, it's okay. Then we got Holiday in Berlin, full blown. I like the guitar on this. It's really good. By C, one of those tracks that shouldn't work because the piano and the guitar are not in the same sort of areas, but it put them together and it does work. It's quite strange. And then we've got Little House I Used to Live In. Certainly a proper jazz prog fusion track, pretty good. A lot of improv on this. It's 18 minutes long, so it's not a bad track. Really well put together. Then we have the last track, Valerie and Jackie and the Starlights. Good little track to end the album. There's some really good tracks on here, especially the improv. Absolutely fantastic, these musicians. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in number 6, we have came out in 1968, and it's called Cruising with Ruben and the Jets. It's their pseudonym name. So on here we've got Ray Collins on lead vocals, Frank Zappa on low grumbles and ooh-wah and lead guitar, Roy Estrada on high weaselings and dwaddy wop and electric bass, Jimmy Carl Black on rhythm, Ian Underwood or Don Preston on redundant piano triplets, Motherhead Sherwood baritone sax, Bunk Gardner and Ian Underwood tenor and alto saxes. First track on here is called Cheap Thrills. I really like this. It's got that 60s feel, the singing's good, the doo-woppies and all that, which sounds very good. Love of My Life, which is nothing to do with Freddie Mercury, of course. It's a great little ballad. Yeah, it's not too bad. How could I be such a fool? Love the backing vocals on here. You've got all the very Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons, but it's the Mothers of Invention style. Very good. Then we have Desiree, the backing vocals. That sounds like the Beach Boys on this. Excellent track. I'm not satisfied, not a fan of this. The backing vocals do irritate me on that one. Then we have Jelly Roll Gumdrop, proper little 60s number, poppy little track, very quirky. Anything, another ballad, and I quite like it. I love these 60s ballads. Then we've got Later That Night, an interesting track. The bass is worth listening to on that one. You Didn't Try to Call Me. I like this. It's got different tones and harmonies on this, real deep ones as well. The Fountain of Love, lots of deep doo-wops. My favourite track on here is a thing called No, No, No. Some great groovy bass line with some great piano. Anyway, The Wind Blows, one of them 60s ballads, sounds really good. Stuff Up the Cracks. Real deep vocals on this, right down there. It's quite good, and a nice little bit of guitar on that as well. It's a really good album. 60s pop, under a different name. Good listen. So I'm going to give that one an RTO ranking of 5.6. Okay, coming in at number 5. This is the 11th album by the Mothers of Invention. Came out in 1972, and it's called The Grand Wazoo. First track on here is called For Calvin and his next two hitchhikers. It's okay. The last 2 minutes is a jazz, free-for-all jazz. Sounds like a bit like Spinal Tap's Jazz Odyssey. The Grand Wazoo. This is a great track. This is 13-minute jazz number. Some superb drumming. The trumpets sound great. It's a real groovy track. One of the best on the album. Then we have Cletus Eritus Oritus. Fantastic piano playing on this. Lovely groovy bass line as well. Eat That Question, my favourite track on here. I think it's got some nice guitar work by Frank on this. I mean, he's a very good guitar player. There's another superb drumming performance, not quite sure who does that. And the last track is called Blessed Relief. One of these jazz sort of acoustic sort of improv tracks. Really good track. Really enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed the album on the whole. It's got some fantastic jazz on it and fusion. A little bit of rock thrown in there. This is an excellent album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have the second album from 1967. Absolutely Free. First track on here is called Absolutely Free, number 1 in a series of underground autoradios. So, Plastic People. I prefer the other version than this. I'm not very keen on this. Then we have the Duke of Prunes, quite slow, with some intricate guitar on this, one of the weirdest vocals, but it doesn't spoil it. Then we have Amnesia Vivace. Absolutely does my head in, not for me. I couldn't listen to it, even though it's a minute, it really got on my nerves. Then the Duke Regains His Chops, weird track. Got some nice little intricate bits on it as well. Call any vegetable a little bit of nonsense, but it's quite fun. Invocation and Ritual Dance of the Young Pumpkins. Now, this is an instrumental. The first part of it, I think, is structured, and then it goes in for a bit of improv. Absolutely wonderful. The guitar works. Very, very good. Soft cell conclusion. It just wonders what went through the minds of these guys. It's a little bit different. Then we've got the MOI, American Pageant. It's number 2 in the series of the Underground All Ratios. So American Drinks, very disjointed. It's like 30 seconds of 3 or 4 bits put together. Status Back Baby is next. Love the drumming on this again. It's fast, fanatic, and the guitar work on top of it is really good. Uncle Bernie's Farm, a short little track, but it's typical. Mother's Invention, some great little intricate bits of guitar and sound on there. Then we have the son of Susie Cream Cheese. Stupid little thing. Brown Shoes Don't Make It. This is split into blue bits. You've got this bluesy start, and then you've got this sort of free-for-all jazz improv. Then it goes back into the blues. I do like that. American Drinks and Goes Home. Lots of noises and weirdness. Amongst all the bizarre noises on this album, there's some really good tunes. I really like this album, even with all its bizarreness on it. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.2. Okay, coming in at number 3 is the debut album from the Mother's Invention, released in 1966, and it's aptly cited as one of rock music's first concept albums, and it's called Freak Out. So the first track is called Hungry Freaks Daddy. Great track. The bass line and the drums really are on a groove on that one. I Ain't Got No Heart. Good track again. Very well put together. Are You the Brain Police? The bass line is really good, but the rest of the song leads that bass line to keep it together. Go Cry on Somebody Else's Shoulder. Another version of this we've talked about. This is off the original one. I like the singing on this. It's pretty good. Motherly Love, another sort of 60s pop sound. I love the guitar work on that. It's excellent. How Could I Be Such a Fool? Again, another track that we've talked about. My second favourite track on here. Love the melody on it as well. Then we have Wowie Zowie, my favourite track on here. That piano is great. It just is so hooked. You Didn't Try to Call Me, another good track. 60s vibes. Love the vibe on that one. Anyway, The Wind Blows, another track that's on one of the earlier albums. Never... It's a really good track. This version's much better. I'm Not Satisfied. Another quirky number. Really like that one. You're probably wondering why I'm here. The guitar work is good. Throw a little bit of vibraphone on it and it's excellent. Then we go to side 3. Double album on your debut is pretty impressive, isn't it? Trouble Every Day. I do like the sound on there. There's some excellent guitar. Then we Help Me, I'm a Rock. Reminds me of some of the Door stuff. Really fantastic drumming on that. It Can Happen Here. Very cleverly done. All the voices are wonderfully integrated. Excellent track. Then we get to the last side. We got The Return of the Monster Magnet. This just takes the whole of the side up. It's got Susie the Cheese Wax on it as well, whatever she's called. It's just a little bit pretentious. That's the only track on here I'm not very keen on. But the rest of the album is pretty good. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay, coming in at number 2, we've got the 14th album by the Mother's Invention, and it's 1975, and it's One Size Fits All. Frank Zappa on guitars and backing vocals, George Duke on the keyboards, Napoleon Murphy Brock on the flute, Ruth Underrunt on the marimba, Chester Thompson, the one and only, on the drums, of course, Tom Fowler, bass guitar, James Newman on bass as well, Johnny Watson vocals, Captain Beefheart is on here as well, credited as Bloodshot Rolling Red on harmonica. So the first track is called Inca Roads. Love this. Lots of the Chester's drumming is fantastic. This is why I think he caught Phil Collins' eye. It's just incredible drumming from Chester. Lots of wah-wah, brilliant. Can't Afford Shoes. Lovely effects on the guitar from Frank. Great little track. So for number 1, the vibraphone on here is important. It adds to the track. Interesting tones, great keyboards, a really good track. Then my favourite track on here is Pro Jammer People. Proper jazz fusion here. Great drumming from Chester. Fantastic. There's some great guitar work as well from Frank. Then we've got Florentine Pojan. The xylophone is wonderful. Some more great drumming from Chester. Evelyn and Modified Dog. The piano work on this is pretty good. San Bernardino. This just belongs to Chester. His drumming is fantastic. Andy, the bass line is just wonderful. The little keyboards bits are in there as well. And the last track is So for number 2. The vibraphone is the main thing, and it's a great little track to end the album. I think this is one of the great Mothers of Inventions albums. There's not really a bad track on there. I love listening to this. This is the first album I heard that when I heard that Chester Thompson was in the Mothers of Invention, I went and listened to it, and I think this is superb. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. But my favourite Mothers of Invention album is the 12th album from 1973, and it's Over-Nite Sensation. Lots of people playing on here. It starts off with the brilliant Carmelo Brillo. This is a fabulous song, a great vocal, some nice playing on this. It's just a superb track. I'm the Slime. Great guitars on this. The drumming is really good. I love the echo sound on this. It really is good. Dirty Work, another funky bass line. Love the vocal on this as well. 50-50, my favourite track, and probably one of my favourite tracks by the Mothers of Invention. The drumming, I think it's Chester. Don't quote me on that. And it's just wonderful. Next, we've got Zombie Wolf, second favourite track on here, and it's because of the solo right in the middle. The bass line just drives the song along. The Mohum, bit wild in places. It's Frank telling a story, but it's a really good. Montana, another of my favourite tracks. The electric piano funk soul on it is just sublime, and that was the last up. Another great album this is, very solid. I love this jazz fusion sound that they created. We guitar work throughout this album is good. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go, part 1, The Mothers of Invention. Next week we're going to start on Frank's solo stuff, and we're going to look at Frank Zappa in the 60s. Only 2 albums, but 2 great albums. Okay, coming up next is A Perfect Side, and got a toughie today. We have got Fleetwood Mac's Rumours. Tough one. So join me for that. Bye for now.